Tonight, a landmark Supreme Court decision is making waves across the nation, fundamentally altering the landscape of gun rights in America. The ruling is reshaping how the Second Amendment is interpreted and enforced, with far-reaching consequences for both gun owners and lawmakers. In a 6-3 decision, the court ruled on Chandler v. California, a case that directly challenges the authority of states to regulate firearms through specific requirements. At the heart of the case was California's law mandating annual gun safety training and recertification for all gun owners, a measure designed to promote responsible firearm use and reduce accidents. Petitioners argued that these requirements placed an undue burden on their constitutional rights, making it harder for law-abiding citizens to exercise their Second Amendment freedoms. The court's conservative majority sided with the petitioners, a decision that will have a ripple effect on states with similar gun safety laws, potentially invalidating or forcing changes to those regulations. Writing for the majority, Justice Neil Gorsuch emphasized the importance of historical context in firearm regulation, arguing that modern restrictions must align with the nation's traditions and constitutional principles. As a result, states across the country are now being forced to reconsider their gun laws, weighing public safety concerns against the new legal standards set by the court. Gun rights advocates are celebrating this decision as a major victory, believing it strengthens individual freedoms, while gun control proponents warn it could undermine efforts to prevent gun violence and protect communities. The ruling effectively returns the issue to states with stricter guidelines, prompting lawmakers to revisit and potentially revise their existing statutes to comply with the new precedent. Legal experts predict that the fallout from this decision is just beginning, as courts, legislators, and advocacy groups grapple with its implications and prepare for further legal battles. This decision has reignited the deep national divide over gun rights, highlighting the passionate and often polarized views held by Americans on both sides of the issue. The implications are vast, touching the lives of millions of Americans in cities, suburbs, and rural communities, and shaping the way people think about safety, freedom, and responsibility. Across the country, the debate over gun control is being reignited with new intensity, as lawmakers, experts, and citizens alike weigh in on what this ruling means for the future. The impact of the Supreme Court's decision will be felt in every corner of the nation, from bustling cities to quiet neighborhoods, as communities adjust to the new legal reality. State governments now face the complex task of navigating a dramatically changed legal landscape for gun legislation, balancing constitutional rights with public safety. This decision underscores the ongoing and often contentious national conversation on gun rights, a conversation that is far from over. With this ruling, the Supreme Court has set a powerful new precedent for interpreting the Second Amendment, ensuring its impact will resonate for years to come. To truly understand today's Supreme Court ruling, we need to revisit the origins and meaning of the Second Amendment, a foundational part of the U.S. Constitution that has shaped American society for over 2 centuries. Its 27 carefully chosen words have ignited passionate debates, legal battles, and political movements for generations, with interpretations shifting as society and the law have evolved. The central question has always been, does the right to bear arms belong to individual citizens for personal use, or is it a collective right reserved for state militias to ensure public safety and order? For many Americans, the Second Amendment is deeply personal. It's about the right to protect oneself, one's family, and one's property, and it stands as a symbol of personal liberty and resistance to tyranny. Others interpret it as a collective right, emphasizing the importance of organized militias and the role of armed citizens in maintaining state security and defending against threats, both foreign and domestic. In 2008, the landmark Heller decision by the Supreme Court affirmed that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to own firearms, but also clarified that this right is not unlimited and can be subject to reasonable regulations. This pivotal ruling set the stage for a wave of ongoing legal challenges and interpretations, paving the way for cases like Chandler to further define the boundaries of gun rights in America. The Second Amendment's influence on American culture is profound, shaping everything from national holidays to local traditions, and fueling a unique gun culture that is visible in everyday life. For many, it stands as a powerful symbol of freedom, individual empowerment, and a crucial check on government authority, inspiring both passionate advocacy and heated opposition. As American society changes, the Supreme Court's interpretation of the Second Amendment continues to evolve, reflecting new legal arguments, shifting public opinion, and the ongoing struggle to balance rights with responsibilities. The Chandler case represents the latest chapter in this long and complex legal history, drawing national attention and sparking fresh debate about the future of gun rights in the United States. Ultimately, the debate over gun rights remains central to American identity, touching on questions of safety, freedom, and what it truly means to be an American in the 21st century. Before the Chandler case, the legal landscape for gun laws in the United States was a confusing and often contradictory patchwork. Each state had its own set of rules, and what was legal in one state could be strictly prohibited in another. This created a sense of uncertainty for both gun owners and lawmakers, as the boundaries of what was allowed were constantly shifting. Landmark Supreme Court cases like Heller and McDonald affirmed that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to own firearms. However, these decisions also left significant room for states to regulate guns as they saw fit, leading to a wide variety of laws across the country. For example, states like California responded by enacting some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, including mandatory safety training, background checks, and limits on certain types of firearms. Other states took a much more permissive approach, resulting in a patchwork of regulations. In 2022, the Supreme Court's Bruin decision dramatically shifted the legal standard. The court ruled that gun laws must be consistent with the nation's historical traditions, making it harder for states to justify modern regulations that lacked clear historical precedent. This new standard made defending contemporary gun laws much more challenging for states, as many modern safety measures did not have direct analogs in early American history. The Chandler case emerged as a crucial test of this new historical approach, putting recent state regulations under intense judicial scrutiny. Gun rights groups seized the opportunity to challenge laws they argued had no historical parallels, sparking heated debates and widespread protests across the country. As a result, lower courts issued conflicting rulings, deepening the legal uncertainty and leaving both citizens and officials unsure of what the law actually permitted. The Supreme Court's decision in Chandler was highly anticipated, as it promised to clarify the rules and bring much-needed guidance to this unsettled area of law. With its ruling, the court redefined the delicate balance between state regulation and individual rights, setting a new standard for how gun laws would be evaluated going forward. Once again, the legal framework for gun laws in America was transformed, ushering in a new era of legal interpretation and debate. The Chandler decision expands the history and tradition test. It deems California's safety training requirement an undue burden. The ruling sets a higher barrier for state firearm regulations. Public safety arguments are now largely irrelevant in court. The focus is on historical parallels from the 18th and 19th centuries. The dissent warns of freezing gun regulation in the past. Laws requiring ongoing training or high fees are likely unconstitutional. States face immediate legal challenges to existing laws. The ruling empowers gun rights advocates to dismantle regulations. The balance of power shifts, prioritizing individual gun ownership. The decision has tangible effects on state laws nationwide. The DOJ swiftly responded to the Chandler ruling. Attorney General Merrick Garland expressed disappointment. He pledged to enforce federal laws and support states in crafting compliant regulations. The DOJ will defend existing federal firearm laws and combat illegal gun trafficking. Garland called on Congress for a more durable legislative solution. The DOJ sees the ruling as a setback, but remains committed to public safety. The executive branch adapts to the new legal reality. The DOJ's response highlights the ongoing challenges in addressing gun violence. The ruling has polarized the nation. In gun-friendly states, it's celebrated as a victory for freedom. In states with strict laws, it's met with alarm and defiance. Advocacy groups fear increased gun violence. The ruling affects real-world scenarios, like safety training requirements. The division is evident within states, with mixed reactions. Law enforcement officials are also split on the ruling's impact. The Chandler decision sharpens the national debate on gun rights. The ruling has not settled the debate, but intensified it. The Chandler ruling sparks a wave of legal challenges. Gun rights groups target state and local laws using the undue burden standard. States must creatively rewrite laws to comply with the new test. The focus may shift to federal legislation for a uniform standard. Passing such legislation in a divided Congress is challenging. Gun rights supporters seek to solidify rights affirmed in Chandler. The future of gun rights and regulation remains unsettled. The Supreme Court has set a high bar for gun laws. The country faces prolonged legal and political battles. the Chandler decision marks a new chapter in America's gun rights story.